All right. Spring breakthrough. Not break in, break through. Guys, I could just name this video Why. Do the title and just call it Why. And give you all the reasons why this show, I don't know what they just did. Was this the smartest move that AEW had done? Will it work? Because I'm being honest here. Before explaining anything that the card did, we have a situation where AEW went up a little bit. Their ticket sales went up a little bit. Their ratings went up a little bit. That's good. But you need to always remember that as much as they go up, they have to be careful if they start doing something really foolish. Now, I said this myself when we saw the pay-per-view. They had been all over the place. They have not been able to focus on anything correctly. Chaos only works when it's focused chaos, not just chaos to be chaos. And the point here is this. Are they focused chaos? I don't know yet. Is this focused chaos? If you looked at the last few videos, last few shows they've done before the pay-per-view of Dynasty, you heard JD say it was boring. But like I said, sometimes if you're going to straighten out the mess that you have, because I've stated it myself, they have been chaotic for months upon months upon months. Going down one direction and then all of a sudden stopping. Then going full bore with something that just didn't make any sense. And then they just stopped it out of nowhere. They finish off storylines but then don't follow up on it. It was always one thing, then stop. Another thing, then stop. Then another thing, then stop. Then another. Always chaos, but not focused. They would have matches that made no sense booking-wise. Just matches to do matches. And it was never important enough to feel like it could be long-term booking, not short-term booking. So, you look at this show, you can't tell which one it is yet. And I can't say that it's good booking. I can't say it's bad booking either. I can't say either one. Was it the right thing to do? You already see my title. I already wrote my title. But I'm just saying, was it the right thing to do? Let's open. I'm going to be like this. When you look at Ciampa versus Desmond Xavier, my boy Dez, the former Wesley, he's a wrestler I really do like. He's got personality. He's also a very good high-flying wrestler. And he learned psychology when he was in WWE. He did. But at this point, after what they've done to Ciampa, not what happened to Desmond Xavier and the Rascals, they're chugging along, doing whatever they're doing. It's Ciampa. You let Ciampa be TNT champion. Then you stripped it off of him. Then Kyle Fletcher got hurt. Then you didn't let him win the damn title. You let Kevin Knight win it. And now you're sticking with Desmond Xavier, who I actually really like. But he's not here. He's not here. He's here. Now you're going to say, well, that's to build Ciampa up. Well, you could have been doing that for months after he joined instead of letting him get a damn title the minute he got into the damn company. Which made no sense. Now, if they are trying to build them up going one stage to another, I'm fine with it. But you could have done that in the very beginning instead of giving him a damn championship. Anyone else would probably be fine with it. I wasn't. I knew there was something was going to happen. JD didn't. And that's nothing against JD. He likes Ciampa. He sees him in black and gold Ciampa. So does Alex. I probably even saw a Monster. But I knew that the booking they were having was bad. And now he goes up against Desmond Xavier, who's a great wrestler. He's got personality. He understands psychology of a match. The match happens. He lost, which was fine. He got nailed straight with that knee. And I wonder if Ciampa's knee's alright, because it looked like it was cut. But the point here, he got nailed clean. And afterward, he made it very clear, I won as, if you remember, gold member of Austin Powers, I won gold. Now he wants gold. And he doesn't care who wins the match that night. He wants to start going after people. He wants championships. All right. But they better build him correctly and start going for the roster, going through everyone. Don't just jump him to the top of the card. Go through people for a while. Let Ciampa talk. And talk properly. Because when you saw him when he was in WWE, he wasn't talking properly. That wasn't Ciampa. That wasn't him. He was doing what they thought was Ciampa, not Ciampa of ROH, where he would be a lot more granular. That's how I feel. Next. The next match. TNT Championship. Kevin Knight versus Claudio Castagnoli. No build-up. Nothing. Instead of giving Kevin Knight the feeling of importance, a few days after Dynasty, he goes after Claudio Castagnoli, who was in that match. Sad. Just plain sad. You would think, okay, Kevin Knight's champion. We want him to be champion. Let's start building him up. Let's make him feel important. Not just a match man or spot monkey. Nope. You put him against Claudio Castagnoli, who has been known to be one of the best wrestlers they have, who can talk, who had a story years ago with Eddie Kingston, who is one of the most favorite wrestlers of the damn brand. And he's now dealing with Kevin Knight, who has really no full understanding what it means to be a champion. Nothing. You know why? No building of him to be a champion. He drops the damn trios titles to do this. And to be honest, it's not the match quality that was the problem. It's Kevin Knight is the problem. He doesn't feel important, guys. And I like Kevin Knight. When he was in TNA, I liked Kevin Knight. But this Kevin Knight, who has been, yes, pushed, but not has been pushed correctly. Because I felt nothing from him as someone that is important. Yes, he had his match against MJF, I believe it was MJF, but he didn't feel important. And then he wins the trios titles. Didn't feel important. Then he wins the TNT title. And instead of giving him time to feel important, to start building up into important people to have the matches from, you throw one of the biggest, baddest guys you got in the damn company, and he beats him. Don't feel important. And that's sad. Now, did he speak well? Yes, he did. Particularly saying that his boy Darby is going up against MJF. But he did make it very clear, after that match is over, I may want to have two belts. Two belts under my belt. I want him to build up as a TNT champion. For them to have him say, I want more than one belt, feels like it's a lost opportunity. Honestly, I'm telling you this as someone who likes Kevin Knight, who knew him when he was in TNA Impact Wrestling, that he has potential to be a great wrestler, but you gotta book him correctly. You can't just make him a wrestling guy. He's got to have more than that. Because eventually people will get bored of it. No matter what anyone says. And one guy, I'm not going to mention your name, said in my Dynasty review, hey, wrestling being so long, there's always been a complaint. I never had a problem with it, but maybe you shouldn't be watching it because you have a problem with it. Dude, as I said in the comment for you, you're in the minority. If you're hearing a whole bunch of people complaining about the shows being too long, they're the majority. And the majority people are the ones who are paying the tickets. And yes, tickets have gone up. But were they like they were 3 years ago? 4 years ago? No. AEW has not even broken 1 million in almost 2 years in the ratings. So you're in the minority. I'm in the majority. Know who you are. I know who I am. And when I see Kevin Knight, I feel I'm in the majority. That if you look at Kevin, he's got all the tools to be a great main eventer. He does. But it counts on if they book him like a main eventer. Giving him a title does not make him a main eventer. Booking him like he's a main eventer means he's a main eventer. Showing that he can hold a character. Showing that he can do a feud with somebody. Showing that he can have a range of emotions. And when he's in the ring, tell a story. That he can be the leader of the match, not just someone who does the spots. I'm going to tell you this. The match was good. He can do a great match. But is he a ring general? No. Doesn't mean that's bad. It just means he can grow into it like Eli Drake did. Remember, I spoke about Eli Drake, who is LA Knight. I said he had everything except being a ring general. He's a great wrestler, but he didn't feel like he was a ring general. He is now a ring general. He had everything else but being a ring general. That's what Kevin Knight needs. Moving on. Next, you have Will Ospreay versus Hechicero. The story was about Will and his neck. He lost his match. Before this happened, before the match, they showed scenes of Dynasty with him and with... Did I like Kenny Omega being humanized like that? Yeah, it helped a bit. It helped Will and it helped him. Both of them wanted to be world champions one day, but both of them lost their shots at winning titles. Both were upset. Will said he was crying for 40 minutes. You could see a little bit that he's not a great actor. Let's make it clear. Kenny Omega's not a great actor, but he tried. Trying to... like he was crying. If he had actually been crying a little bit, real tears, I would have believed it more. I would have accepted it more. But no, there was no real tears coming from his face. He wasn't wiping his eyes, at least trying to fake it. They didn't put any type of drops in his eyes to at least make him look real. And I think that could have really helped. Particularly right after talking with Renee Paquette. But it didn't happen. But I'm not saying what he did was 100% bad. So him being told by Will, I still believe in you. And Will give him a kiss on the head and then he walks away because he's going to get some rest after the match. And he says, maybe I still can do this. Fine. The Hechicero. I want to say this about Hechicero. He is a damn good wrestler. But it's so sad that he doesn't have the right type of manager. And I'm being honest here. I'm being honest. Hechicero needs a manager who can not only talk for him, but help promote the feud. Now, I don't know if Hechicero can speak English. I think he does. At least some English. But he needs a manager that can really make it feel about it's only him instead of being part of the Don Callis family. Because that's a major issue for me personally. Hechicero should be away from the Don Callis family with a manager that can make him feel important. Because he could easily be a main eventer, at least in the TNT title picture. And he doesn't feel like it. He just feels like he just does matches, which he does. Now, when he put him in that guillotine flip, I don't have a shot of it, but it was nasty. And the entire story is about Will's neck. Yes, Will won and then got his ass whooped afterward. What's it he got his ass whooped? Yeah, he got his ass whooped afterward by Davis. Had to remember. But I'm curious. You had Shafir in the audience. But then Don Callis gets upset and he can't stand him. Isn't this about him still dealing with Moxley? But then Don Callis whoops his ass with his own people? Why did Don even get involved in it? You didn't even need to. It wasn't necessary. He's not in a feud with the Don Callis family, even though he has history with them. It's supposed to be with the Death Riders and Moxley. That's the position that I'm seeing in. And I'm like, why? You're going to say, oh, it's because Don Callis is an enemy. Don Callis didn't need to even attack him. Only thing they had to focus was Marina Shafir jumping over the guardrail. And she could have been the one to do something to Will. Yes, I know you were saying, what, her? Yes, because she was one that was left out there to watch. And then when she went back to the Death Riders and said, Will looks green in the gills, just like Moxley talked about. And then he talks about Nick Wayne and the match he's going to have tomorrow. Why didn't you just let her jump into the ring, check out Will, grab his face, and says, you're never going to win against Moxley. Whack. That would have been more important. You could have had Don Callis attack him anyway, but it would have still been only about the Death Riders and Moxley. That didn't happen. Moving on. The next match, which I don't understand. I was going to use it, when I saw this match, I was going to go, why? For the entire show. Why? Camille versus Willow Nightingale. Camille had her first match after 529 days. That's almost a year and a half away. It doesn't matter that she was injured. It doesn't matter she went to the American Gladiators. Who gives two damn flips? She just came back. I did not think having Camille on that pay-per-view and having that match was wise. She should have had a match here. She could have attacked a Willow Nightingale, but then have her match there, and then Willow coming out, and then they have a brawl. At least begin to build up a feud between the two. No. What happened? You tell me. What happened? Leave a comment below saying, oh, it was a great match between her and Camille. Why did even have the match? If Camille was only going to have 2 matches, and one of those 2 matches she already jobbed. She hasn't been on TV for 529 days. And she comes back. Has 1 match, which she had to struggle against Big Ann, I believe that's her name. Or Big Annie. And then have the Willow Nightingale match here for the TBS title and gets her ass whooped for no reason. No reason. I don't care what anyone says. This was bad booking. You have one of the biggest bitches that are in AEW. One of the biggest women there next to Cross and next to Megan Bayne. You got 3 big ass women there. 3. The 3 biggest, meanest women you got. And one of them just jobbed within 3 days of coming back and having her first match where she had to struggle against some woman and then lose to Willow Nightingale instead of building her up to make her important so when Willow does have a match with her, it would mean something. Nope. You make her job her ass out. Moving on. Let's now talk about the segments in the back. The Jericho segment with the demand. Let me make this very clear. Am I enjoying this segment? No. Because I don't know where they're going with it. What are we really doing with Ricochet? Are you trying to use Jericho to make Ricochet mean something? When, to be honest, I don't think you'll be able to do it. I don't think so. As it stands right now, I don't believe Jericho's going to be able to get Ricochet over. Not the way everyone thinks it's going to be. Now, they could be trying to use Ricochet to get Jericho more over with the fans, which can be done. But if it's the reverse, it's not happening. It's not going to work. I just don't see Ricochet getting over even more as a heel going against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho could get more pops because of the demand. Yes. But do I believe this is going to work? Nope. Unless you're going to have CNC work with Jericho to deal with the demand because of what's happened with FTR. Because they're done. FTR whooped their butts. Now, unless they're going to keep fighting one another for a while, which I believe they will, because they're going to have to wait until Cope comes back because his head is busted open. He got hurt pretty good. So it's going to be a bit. But when they come back, if they're not going after FTR, the only thing I can think of is having Jericho, having Cope, and having Christian work together as a trios. As weird as it sounds, having Jericho, Cope, the CJC, or CJ, or JCC. I'm not saying that we'll go there, but Jericho, Cage, and Cope. That could work. 3 legends working together to have 3 titles. Having the trios. But this is just me. Next. How did I feel about Tekla and Windsor? It wasn't bad to talk. It wasn't. I am interested in seeing how far they go, though. And when you see about Hiroko Shida and... Wait. Let me get this straight. Hiroko Shida, who's already been dealing with Willow Nightingale on Collision, now wants to be in a team with Chris Statlander on Collision. And I'm like, looking at Hiroko Shida, I'm going like, what the hell happened to her? Because she don't look right. I mean, Hiroko Shida's a good-looking woman, but I don't know what type of makeup and stuff she's wearing right there. It doesn't, and not the clothes, but the makeup looks off. And it's not because if it looks geisha or if it looks like, what is the name of them? Hyo dolls? I believe I'm pronouncing them wrong. Or Hyo dolls. But she looks off a little bit. Like the makeup isn't done correctly. That's just me. I could be 100% wrong because it's not like I know makeup. But she feels a little off. And now we're going to do this with Chris and Hiroko Shida. When you really need more on Dynamite when it comes to the women. I would rather see Hiroko Shida on Dynamite for a little while. Something different. We don't see her. When was the last time we saw Hiroko Shida on Dynamite? More than a year. To do any storyline, anything. So I would like to see her there. It would be a nice change. Since she would be allowed to talk. Because she didn't do a bad thing when she was talking. Let's see, what else? The FTR talk wasn't bad, but I'm wondering who they're going to face now. And let me give you like this. Final match. Because here we are. We're at the end. Darby Allin versus MJF. Being told at the very beginning of the show, MJF, you have an impromptu match in the beginning of the show. Because Darby Allin wants to do it now. Because he's in Washington. And I'm like, they're not going to do it now. They'll probably do it at the end of the show, maybe. But then that doesn't make any sense. Because why don't you build this up into Forbidden Door? Why not? Why not spend the next couple of months building this up to Forbidden Door? This is the thing I didn't understand. Because when we went to the ring and Darby was told off by MJF saying, I'm too rich, I'm too powerful, you're not getting it. And then Bryan Danielson says that Tony Khan said this is happening now. And if you don't do it, I even knew what was going to be stated before even Bryan even said they were going to be stripped. I wrote it in my notes. If you don't do it, you're going to be stripped. And I'm like, this sucks. This sucks. This doesn't feel right. And then I'm thinking, okay, if we're going to be stuck like this, let's hope we have a good long amount of time to get this done. And we're told, well, near the end of the show, no more commercials. We're going to do our final commercial and we're going to do it. And I checked because I watched the replay of it. 9 minutes. And I'm said, oh, this is going to be some stupid shit. It's going to either be that MJF's going to cheat. He's going to cheat to win. And then that hurts Darby when they're trying to build Darby up to be important. MJF tries to give the Dynamite Diamond Ring to Alicia Edwards. He kicks Darby in the nuts. Then Darby nut shots him. And within not 1, not 2, say about 3 minutes, Darby wins. I'm going to put that image in my face with him, with everybody in the ring. You see it. Sting was there. I knew this was going to be special when they brought out Sting. Sting doesn't come to the show often. And he's telling Darby it's not showtime, because that's what Darby said when he spoke to Sting, because he was trying to honor Sting by saying, it's showtime, you tell me I'm going out there, then it's showtime. He says, no. He says, it's your time. I knew this was going to be something important. But 3 minutes, roughly 3 minutes, maybe less, but maybe about 3 minutes after the announcement of who was there, it's three fucking minutes. Short-term gain. I'm saying this right now. There are situations when we were watching WWE back in the 2010s where Vince decided to do shock and awe, short-term gain things, something to shock the system, but then long-term loss because we never got anywhere with it. And right now, I don't know if this is the same thing or not. It feels like it, but this is different. This is AEW, not WWE of old. So I cannot tell you if this is going to work or not. There's going to be people, I'm sure there's going to be people in the chat, not chat, but the description say, you just hate AEW, you hate Darby Allin. No, I like Darby Allin. But I'm being honest here. We just saw, and I said this earlier, I said this on the last Dynamite, I said it in Dynasty, I'm saying it here. We know there's been an uptick slightly in the ratings. We know that people have been going to the shows. We had almost 10,000 people in the arena. Normally have less. I'll say that again. Less. They do. No matter what you say. They've had less attendance. The attendance went from here to here. So you can't tell me that I'm wrong, because it's the truth, because you can see the numbers yourself. But the thing here is this. With this shock of MJF being basically losing the title, and now you throw it on Darby, who should have had it over a year ago, but guess what happened? Darby gets hit by a bus in my city. Because I live in New York City, he got hit by a New York City bus. Then after he recovered that, he decides to go to Mount Everest, when he should have been at the show and won the damn title then when it was really hot. He was gone for months, getting trained to go to Mount Everest, went to Mount Everest, which takes nothing from him. That's a very dangerous thing to do, and very few people can do it without dying or getting some type of situation where they never correct afterward. Sometimes they have lung problems after that, because you are near the very edge of how far a person can breathe, and you can damage your lungs. Some do, not everyone. But he comes back, he starts doing his job again. He's had some crazy matches, but we had so much going on here. Instead of making him feel important, and I say this again, important, relevant. Relevancy is just as important as having a title. They didn't want to set him up for Forbidden Door, where he could win it there against MJF. No. They just wanted to get the damn title off of MJF and put it on Darby because they were in what? Washington? Is that the reason why they did it? That they thought, well, they want to do it now, and they want to just give Darby the title because he deserves it at this point. But instead of leaving it for Forbidden Door, where MJF could stretch it there unless he's hurt. Unless MJF is hurt. He could be hurt. I don't know. As far as I know, MJF is not hurt. He is pissed off about what happened with him and Nick Nimitz. And that might be one of the reasons why we have an issue. Why he was stripped of it. But if they wanted to do it, they should have done it at Forbidden Door, which would have been a great payoff for Darby, a great payoff for MJF. People would have been happy for that at that pay-per-view. It would have meant something. Even if the pay-per-view was long, still. But it's just me. Peace.